In the year of our Lord 2025, if you are a fan of Jon Bernthal, there are three types of programs of his that you can enjoy. You can watch The Amateur if you want Jon Bernthal being friends with an autist. You can watch Daredevil Born Again if you want Jon Bernthal being friends with Daredevil. Or you can watch The Accountant 2 if you want Jon Bernthal being friends with autistic Daredevil. I made that connection when I was watching The Accountant 2, which is on Prime right now. He's sitting on the roof of Ben Affleck's Airstream and just kind of shooting the breeze. And I was like, wait a minute. He's been in movies with two different Daredevils this year. Although, like I said in my amateur review, he didn't really have a huge role to play in that movie. I feel like there was something left in the editing room to keep the runtime down low or something. Anyway, I was told that The Accountant 2 was fine, but not as good as the first one. I really enjoyed it. Like, the first one was obviously a tough act to follow just because of the type of story that it is. It's basically the origin story for the accountant, and it would be really hard to hit all the same notes and satisfy viewers in the same way without rehashing the story. Although, kind of in a sense, they did, but not in the way that would make it like obvious and just recycled. So, first movie, real quick recap. He's this guy who was the son of a colonel. He grew up with autism, and his particular flavor of autism it would have been better as a kid if he had constantly been around the same stimuli and a schedule. But since he was an army brat, he moved like 3 dozen times before he turned 18. There was constantly new stimuli. And his dad, being a hardline military officer, was just like, suck it up, cope, figure it out. And then he ended up doing some time in a federal penitentiary for some stuff. It was there that he met a mob money launderer, and he learned how to do money laundering. And then he got out and he became an accountant on the outside. He's friends with another like super autistic, nonverbal woman who is just this beyond talented computer hacker. And so with his skills as a launderer and as an accountant, he flies under the radar, but also with his military training and stuff from his father, he's able to kill people and break things. And with information from his hacker friend, he takes on new and dangerous jobs, saving people that nobody else can or will. And all of this was told through a very excellent execution of nonlinear storytelling. When the pieces all come together in the end, it's like, oh man, this was beautiful. The second movie, then, it takes place chronologically 8 years after the first, kind of like the release dates for these two. And the big twist at the end of the first movie was that a mercenary who had been hired to take him out finds out during their conflict, he's like, oh crap, this guy is my brother. The accountant had a brother that he grew up with under his father. And they hadn't seen each other in forever. And while the accountant goes by Chris, I'm pretty sure after watching the second movie, that is his given name. That's what his brother calls him the entire time. But he's known for using aliases. He's hunting down this merc. The merc is just hunting down the accountant. And then when they actually hash out their beef at the end, it's like, oh, crap. Bernthal and Affleck, they've got good chemistry together, and especially with these roles where it would be difficult to do so because the characters they're playing are so behaviorally disparate from each other. Affleck plays autistic really well. He's not just like quiet and staring at things and figuring it out. Like, he does the little subtle cues, the stammering and I didn't pick up the context of this right. Like, he gets all of that done really well. And then Bernthal just plays a guy who's almost the complete opposite. Like, he's overstimulated and he over responds to his stimuli. And when you get to the scenes in the movie where it's just the two of them, whether they're hashing it out or whether they're fighting or whether they're just talking about something, or even in the moments where they're getting real, they just play off of each other so tremendously well. So the unique plot of this movie is that there's a woman. She goes by a code named Anais, but her real name is Edith Sanchez, and she's a lot like Chris in that she is also an autistic savant, and she ended up in the mercenary hitman world. and people are trying to find out who she is. And there's somebody who's got a theory that she has a very rare condition called acquired savant syndrome. She had some severe brain trauma that resulted in her gaining this savant syndrome. But as a consequence, it also wiped her memories and removed some other elements of her personality and her humanity. And they find out that she was trafficked, and her son is being held in a facility in Juarez, Mexico, and she's kind of grasping at straws in her mind, trying to retrace her steps and find this thing that she knows is important, but she can't remember what it is. So she's kind of like this walking nuclear bomb in the mercenary world as she's going through the cartel and trying to retrace her steps. She ends up on the radar of, I believe it was a deputy director in the Treasury Department, who then is able to reach out to the accountant, and he reaches out to his brother for help, and they are figuring out the complicated dynamic of their brother-brother relationship, especially after so many years of not seeing each other, while they're also working this case, trying to kind of rescue Aeneas, rescue her son, rescue all the other kids that are being held as collateral, or as leverage in this facility by the cartel, which also runs the trafficking ring. So they're like, the plot is, it's kind of similar, except that in this sense, it's not Chris who's the autistic merc, it's Aeneas, but that's fine. Like, his particular arc is that you can see he's making an effort to do things a little bit different than he has his whole life. You see him do some speed dating, which that scene was hilarious, because while he's trying to do it, he still can't beat his most deeply ingrained instincts, and he just goes full autist on these speed dates. And also he figures out that there was an algorithm that the dating app was using, and he like hacks the algorithm. It was just done extremely well. Like, later there's a scene, you've probably seen this one a lot in the trailers, where he and his brother Braxton, Jon Bernthal, they go to a country bar, but it's a country bar in Los Angeles. So a lot of cowboys there, but they're all fake cowboys. And this woman tries to hit on Chris, and he's bad at reading the cues and figuring out like how to react to it. And Bernthal's like, dude, no, this is how this works and everything. Well, then a line dance starts, and the autist is like, oh, wait a minute, line dancing, repetition, form. I can pick up on this really, really quick. And he goes and jumps into the line dance, and he's like, he's thrilled. He's like, hey, I figured this out. But then like there's a twist at the end of the scene where he intentionally misses a step so he can bump into this girl, and her not boyfriend comes over to start crap with him. And you realize like he was baiting the guy because he knows that his brother likes to fight. And there's some resentment over the fact that Chris always got bullied every time they moved to a new base or something, and Braxton always had to jump in and beat up anybody who ever messed with him. But that's what led to Braxton being good as a fighter and enjoying the fight. And so, Chris trying to cheer Braxton up, he's like, oh, I'll go get a fight for you. He pisses off his boyfriend, and Braxton jumps in and just beats the crap out of the guy, and like they bond over that. This is a story of brotherly bonding, and they bond over the things that they are good at, that they have in common. And at the end of the day, they've got to go save a bunch of kids and kill a bunch of carteleros, and hey, they're good at that, and they can do it together. And they happen to just have to kind of chase down and retrace the steps of a woman who in many ways is very similar to Chris, and he understands her in a way that a lot of other people can't. So I thought it was great. I don't worry so much about whether it's as good as the first one. I watched both of these movies, and I enjoyed them both tremendously. The story was a little bit different. The tone in this one was a little bit lighter, but it still had a lot of the elements that I really liked, especially like examining the mental health is the wrong way to describe autism, but the mental peculiarities of somebody on the autism spectrum, as well as doing like late reveals and nonlinear storytelling. It wasn't as heavy on the nonlinear stuff, but there was a mystery established in the beginning, and they pick apart the clues across the middle, and then it all comes together at the end. It's the kind of thing that you would like from from that kind of thriller where it's like, okay, here's the problem. What the heck is the problem? Let's figure the problem out. They figure it out. Let's go shoot it up and kill some people, and we'll save a cat in the end. And like, it's fine. This was a really, really enjoyable movie. Um, I can see why it didn't get a summertime release, just because it would have had to go up against all of the popcorn flicks. And when you're releasing a rated R movie, you're already releasing it to a bit of a limited audience. So a springtime release makes sense. But I really liked it. Content warning for the violence and the language. But man, just the more stuff that I see Jon Bernthal in, um, the more I'm impressed with his versatility. It seems like it might be weird to call it range, just because he's kind of always this, not freak out guy, but he's got a particular tone that he's good at hitting. But that one tone, it's like he can play it in different keys, if that makes sense. He's there were shades of the Punisher to his character here, but his motivations for playing the character the way that he did were different than when he plays Frank Castle. There's no levity to Frank Castle. Frank Castle is just always pissed off and killing people and hurting people and breaking things, except for when he's like really fighting to be stable. But this character, Braxton, he's he's just the, not a serial killer. Like he's the merc that isn't trying to be funny. He just is, and it makes it an enjoyable watch. And for as much as I've kind of poo-pooed Ben Affleck's performances and roles and stuff over the years, he's very good in this. He's very good in this. So that's my 2 cents on The Accountant 2. Like I said, currently on Prime, so check it out. Drive safe. See you out there.